I know it sounds wrong, but we only have an average of 4,000 weeks in our lifetime. A little more for women, a little less for men on average. So think about that. Think about how you want to spend 4,000 weeks or what remains of the 4,000 weeks. How do you want to be intentional? This is sacred work. Setting your goals and objectives to me is sacred work. Because what do you want your days to amount to? What are you living it for? If you have big dreams, I want you to have big dreams, but I don't want them to just be dreams. I want them to be things that you can act upon, that you can actually reach, and that you understand what does it mean to get there? How will I know that I got there? That's really important. You're listening to Writer Unblocked, a podcast for aspiring and experienced authors. I'm your host and author coach, Nicole, and on this show, we chat with up-and-coming as well as best-selling authors, literary agents, and publishing professionals to inspire you and keep the vibe high. Welcome to a solo episode of Writer Unblocked, and I am so excited because today we're talking about goal setting. Goal setting is my favorite thing in the world. I love helping people goal set. I love setting up frameworks for identifying goals, and really as a coach, I love to drill down to what that means. What does that mean? When people tell me they have a goal, I'm like, well, what does that mean? And today is a great day to talk about this because I am excited to share with you all the different varied responses to the question, what does author success mean to you? So let's dive in because success means different things to different people. And that is especially true for authors. So let's talk about the two components of goal setting. These are tried and true for me. I have used them and I'm going to link all sorts of resources and books in the show notes if you want to do further reading and exploration about this topic. Highly recommend. So listen, for many years, I've had my own notion of what success is. I had my own crazy notion of what it was to be successful. And when I forced myself to drill down and understand what does that mean, my life changed as a person, as a partner, as a mom, as an employee, as a now business owner, as an author coach. I am much happier and more fulfilled because I understand where I am going. I understand what it means to me to be free or successful or abundant. And now I can actually track my progress and take inspired action every day towards that goal. The first thing, though, before we really dive into this episode, I want you to, if it's safe for you to write it down. If not, just hold it in your brain there. What does success mean to you as an author? Don't overthink it. Just a bullet or two. What does success look like as an author? And then we're going to talk about how will you know? How will you know that you've arrived there? So let's talk about this. Okay. The first component is understanding what a goal or objective actually means to you. Is it tied to an outcome? I hope so. And I personally use a variation of the OKR method, which stands for Objective Key Result. You can use many different frameworks for this, but I like to use the OKR method. It works really well for me. Let me give you an example. One of the objectives I had for 2024 was to be healthier. What does that mean? Can I just write in my resolutions, be healthier and call it a day? No, I had to really think about what being healthier meant and then come up with 3 outcomes of being healthier. And then those outcomes helped me understand what were these steps I could take on a daily, weekly, monthly basis to reach them. So just being healthy wasn't going to be helpful. And just being successful is not going to be helpful because that means different things to different people, right? I want you to listen to a couple of answers to this question from different authors and writers, and you'll see what I mean.
For me, it was having a book in bookstores. I wanted my family to be able to go to Barnes & Noble and find my book on the shelves.
I want to be traditionally published. I don't care about money or making a living out of it.
When I started, success was self-publishing a book.
Winning awards. In a market that's saturated in almost every genre, knowing that mine stands out means I'm successful.
Being able to make a living from writing is the point where I'd consider myself successful.
Okay, those are a little varied, right? That's a lot of different notions about what it means to be a successful author. I really would love to have a conversation with the last one about making a living. What does that mean? Does it mean $50,000 a year? Does it mean $100,000 a year? What does that mean, right? And so you would break that down, hopefully, into, okay, my living expenses at a bare minimum are this, and then I'd want a little extra to live a good life. And what are the sources of that income? Is it all royalties? I would hope not. I hope you're diversifying your revenue streams as an author. So maybe you decide that you want to have speaking revenue and then royalties from your print and ebooks, and then maybe royalties from your audiobooks, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe you have a merch store. I have authors that set up merch stores. They have candles and t-shirts and all kinds of things that are related to their books and their characters. And so that's another revenue stream. You have to understand that if you found a magic lamp tomorrow and the genie comes out of the lamp and says, what do you want? And you say, I want to make a living as an author. She is going to have to guess what you mean by that. And that the outcome might not be what you want if you're not clear on what you mean by making a living as an author. So here, check out some other answers.
If you're writing every day and you finish your stories, then you are successful. Some people separate writer from author, thinking that an author is someone traditionally published, but I always thought that was BS, especially today. You can self-publish and walk into most bookstores and get your book stocked.
I'd measure my success by the quality of my work. I want to write something truly great. Publishing is nice and all, but it's not why I write.
I think the true and only success for a writer is when someone comes up to you and tells you that your work touched them.
Oh, I just love the diversity of the goals here. I love the diversity of the thinking. For some people, it's selling in a print books in a physical store, and for some people, it's literally just finishing the book. And I love that. I love that it can mean so many different things to people. So the point that I want you to understand in this first section is that being successful, being a bestseller, being free, being abundant, being healthy, all of those are really vague goals. And you can still have that as a high level objective, but you have to be able to articulate at least 3 things below that indicate that you've arrived there. Because those goals without a measurable outcome are just a guaranteed trip to disappointment city. You have to be able to articulate what that means to you and how you're going to get there. So if you're listening to this and you're, again, in a safe place to jot this down, otherwise just remember it in your head. Now, with that sort of framework or context, I want you to write down or revise your initial goal. What does author success mean to you? How will you know that you arrived there? Is it seeing fan art of your characters from your adoring fans? Is it selling a very specific amount of books? Is it making a specific amount of money? Is it having a peaceful writing routine with no other commitments in your day? And speaking of day, here's part 2. Here's the second component. Here's the trick. Here is the secret sauce. Here is the thing that I absolutely love to do. I want you to close your eyes if it's safe. And I want you to picture your ideal day as an author. What is your ideal 24 hours? Why do I ask you this question? Because that is going to have all sorts of clues to what your objective really is, but also what are the measurable outcomes? Is it that you get up at whatever time you want? Where are you? Who are you interacting with? Who are you not interacting with? What do you have planned for the day? Are you traveling? Are you going to a book conference? Are you giving a talk? Are you in a quiet, cozy cafe writing uninterrupted? Are you meeting with other authors? Are you meeting with your team? You have a marketing team, you have a PR person, you have an author assistant, you have your author coach. Are you opening fan mail? Where do you live? Where are you? Think about, what is my ideal day? Don't think about it too hard. Just sort of daydream like we used to back in grade school. Are you receiving a particular award? Think about, how do I feel? Am I excited? Am I in a mess of my own making now because I am on a deadline to write my 5th book. What's going on in your day? You're going to take these things and you're going to tie them back to these outcomes, to these goals, to these smaller goals underneath your bigger goal. So look at these elements of your day. For example, if you have a goal of connecting, you have a deep desire to connect with readers, you have an adoring fan base, that's your ideal, that's what's happening in your ideal day, then your goal is engaging more with your audience and community. And that's something you could literally start doing today. Right? You can set an actionable goal today that for 15 minutes every day, you're going to log into your social media account and you're going to engage meaningfully with other authors, with readers, with people in the community. You can absolutely do that. These are the pebbles. These are the small little things that cause a big ripple effect and then have you arrive at your bigger goal, which would be to have an adoring fan base. Share this component number 2, this daydream, this ideal day exercise with you because it really has helped me a lot at crossroads in my life. I am focusing now more on serving the author community in more intentional ways. And so when I think about my ideal day and I think about how I use my gifts and I think about how, for example, I don't want to coach at night. I've done it and I've decided I'm not at my best in the evening. When I think about my ideal day, it's not my family having dinner without me at 6:30 because I'm coaching an author. It just doesn't work for me. So I no longer offer those slots unless it's an emergency. I really don't. It doesn't align with my ideal vision to coach in the evenings after, 4:30, 5 o'clock or something like that. Weekends, I don't mind, right? So for some people, the deal breaker is the weekends. For me, I don't mind weekends as long as it's not in the evening. So I did not arrive at that conclusion. I started coaching in the evenings initially because I didn't think about what I wanted to do, what my ideal goal was as I started out this business. If we may drill down a little bit to these key results, right? So you have your high level objective to become a bestseller. And so your key results could be for next year, secure a reputable agent, invest in marketing, and research what makes a book sell. And that one you could do literally today. You could start to do that research. You can look at some case studies. You can look at your favorite authors who you consider to be bestsellers, and you can identify a couple of things they're doing and say, does this fit me? And in what ways could I start doing these things? Or what does that look like for my book to do these things at a smaller scale until you can grow it? So grab, again, if you can write it down safely, I want you to rewrite your high level goal. And then I want you to break it down into 3 to 5 key results or measurable outcomes. And then under those 3 to 5 things, I want you to bullet point just one action that you could take toward it. Just one thing that bubbles up to that being a reality. And it's okay to revise goals as you grow and learn. One of my favorite quotes that I reference often is when things get hard, you can change the plan, not the goal. The goal, I often see that it stays the same for people. They just sort of have to change the plan of how they get there. And that's why I love this framework, because your objective can be that high level thing that's very squishy. But at the end of the day, your key results can change. There's more than one way to arrive at your objective. And that's okay if you have to pivot and change things. It's life. Success is deeply personal. It means different things to different people, as you saw today. It's okay to change, to pivot. It is imperative that you visualize and understand what your ideal outcome is in order to map backwards to that objective. And I really, really want you to share with me on social. You can tag me, you can DM me at Reignite with Nicole. I would love to hear what your notion of success looks like, what your definition of success is. If you want to share, if this was helpful to you or what was the most helpful part of this episode. And if this work calls to you, if you want to work with me, if you want an author coach to help you on this journey, I'm also open. If you want to DM me, I'm happy to chat and see if if we're a good fit. Not everyone is a good fit. So we just would, no harm, no foul. We just discuss it. And remember, your story is unique. Your success is unique. Every single step that you take is leading you somewhere. And my hope is that because you've mapped this out correctly, every step is taking you not just somewhere, but it's actually taking you to the exact place that you want to be. Thank you so much for joining me this week. For more information on today's episode, please check out the show notes. Before you go, make sure you subscribe to the podcast to receive new episodes right when they're released. You can subscribe right now in the app you're using to listen. And you can also follow me on Instagram at Reignite with Nicole. Lastly, I do have a quick favor to ask before we go. If you're enjoying the podcast, I hope you'll let me know by leaving a review. Thank you again for joining me in this episode of Writer Unblocked. I'll see you next time.